Hello, Sooner World. We are back for another edition of Sooner Cast. Me and Goss getting on a little bit later. Goss is traveling, so he
special on the road edition here.
he's been.
In case anybody asks that, I may or may not be inside of a bathroom, but I am not on the toilet.
That's what I told him before we got on here. I'm like, you okay to do this? Because he's been driving all day. But well, hey, that's what we do for you guys.
I'm a little weary, but I'm here.
So I appreciate everybody that got on to the podcast on Monday night. We've got a good response from it. We appreciate all the people that have watched it and commented on it and liked it. I'll go over one of the comments that was mentioned in our YouTube on our YouTube channel, but get on our YouTube, like it, subscribe to it, comment, leave us a review. Same thing with our podcast page. You can get on Apple or Spotify and just follow us, comment, give us a 5-star review if you like what you hear. We love the feedback. So, man, let's just get right into it. OU, Alabama. I know we talked about it after the game. We were on a high. We had a little time to kind of dwindle down just a little bit, but still unbelievable win. And what's your mindset now at finishing this season?
I think first off, we can't be too positive as Sooner fans. I mean, we've had plenty of crappy games that we drug on and talked about for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. So the fact we played well last week, I think it's okay to talk about it for another day. But, you know, my mindset after that is, to use a Britt Venables expression, we finally played complimentary football. And we talked about this last week when we previewed the OU Alabama game, is what was the keys to victory for that? It was to take care of the football, which we did for the most part. We did have the one, the one fumble from Taylor Tatum. But beyond that, we took care of the football. We limited big plays, and I think that's what we have to look at, and trying to get the cart in front of the horse here to talk about the LSU preview. But again, I just came away with that of, we had a game plan to win the game. It wasn't just a game plan to play football. It was a game plan to win the game. It was complementary offense with complementary defense. And so to me, that's my mindset going into this, is we played complementary football last week. Let's do it again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look at it this way. We did, a lot of these tough games we've had this year, it's been like, okay, what do we have to play a perfect football game to win? And you look at the Ole Miss game, the first half, we played dang near about as perfect as we could. And I think that's why we're all skeptical going to second half Alabama. It's like, this is going really well, but like, there's something's going to happen that's going to basically change the whole, aspect of this game. And I think when Eli Bowen intercepted that pass, our whole mindset was like, holy crap, we're going to win this game. And so it's just sticking to a game plan and don't get away from it if stuff ain't working. Like a while ago on our group text with our buddies, I said, Xavier Robinson don't get at least 15 carries. DeMarco Murray needs to be fired on the spot. So,
BB called him out. I mean, it was a little tongue in cheek, but it's also one of those of, like your boss says something to you and jokes and slaps your back, but you do get the message of, okay, yeah, no, I need to fix that. So,
yeah. So I was, I think you could tell Venables, that was the win he needed. He seemed a lot more relaxed at his press conference. Like I said, after the game, that guy deserves it. He is, he's taken his bumps this year from the fan base, from media, just like, is he the guy? And I think we've all questioned it, but I mean, you don't watch a team play like that with their back against the wall and not say, okay, yeah, I think he's our guy. It's like, so he's got a lot of pressure with this search, and we'll jump right into that. So what's the next big thing going on right now, is OC search. We had Matt Blackwell on Monday night, and we were going over what he knew on the offensive coordinator search. Lots of rumors out there. We appreciate Matt coming on Monday. We don't have sources. So I'm going to put that out there. And so we brought Matt on to give his perspective on what he hears and stuff like that. We wait. I know when anytime I see anything, I wait until I see it at least 3 times before I ever post anything. So that said, I think it is Arbuckle.
Breaking news.
Yeah, you won't see us breaking it. So I think it is Arbuckle. I do think Mateer will come with him, but I don't know, man. Has your mindset changed any since?
No, I think there's too much smoke there, and you know the best predictor of the future is the past. And it's kind of one of those things when the BV hire, it was kind of similar to this of, well, I think it's going to be Brent Venables. I think it's going to be Brent Venables. I think it's going to be Brent Venables. And then it was like, well, if it's Brent Venables, why is it taking this long? Why is it not out there? And I think some of that's just dotting I's and crossing T's. And I do think there's some backup plans like, the guy at Pitt, Bell, I do think, his name kind of came on. It's came on a little bit harder as of late. I don't think Craddock's completely out either. Although I've heard more smoke from him going to Wisconsin, that sort of thing. So all signs point to Arbuckle. I did just read somewhere that Emmett Jones started following Arbuckle on X, on Twitter today. And that kind of coincides with what Matt said of where he felt like if it is Arbuckle, which he says it is, but if it is Arbuckle, then that's probably means Beatonbow and Jones are definite holdovers from the current staff, which to me, obviously, I don't think Joe John's going to be a holdover because you don't want the guy who was calling plays before you here. Probably look for Joe John to go with Levy. I think that was something he looked at last year. Wouldn't be shocked to see that. This may signal them for DeMarco. Who knows? But I do think DeMarco will probably be given a chance to stay. But once again, this is me just reading tea leaves. This isn't Stephen Goss, sped dial Joe C last night. And he's like, Steve, what do you really think? I need to know. He didn't ask me what to wear to the LSU game, nor did he ask me who needs to be kept on this offensive staff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Craddock, keep an eye too on Tulane's head coach might go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, their easy move would be to just promote Craddock to try to keep some of those guys there. So
something else we've ballied about a little bit here is with the Tulsa opening, I have had some people ask me, do you think that means that Kevin Wilson could be the guy? Looking for Kevin Wilson to be an analyst at OU next year.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes the most sense there.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Brennan Marion was a name that got thrown around a lot early for the OU OC position. I think he's probably the leading candidate at Tulsa right now, former Tulsa player. And anytime a team fires somebody, they usually go for the opposite thing. So, what did Tulsa have? They had an older guy who'd been a head coach. And so look for Tulsa to make a hire there. This isn't a Golden Hurricane podcast. Shout out to my wife, Golden Hurricane. I'm trying to break hurricane news here, but that would be my guess with the Tulsa job. But I don't think that means Kevin Wilson's going to be the OC at Oklahoma.
No, I think him being an analyst, I think with Tulsa, their deal is they're going to go back to just getting these good young up and comers and probably keep them 2 or 3 years. They do good work, then it's a stepping stool for another job. So I think they worry too much about keeping a guy long term.
Right.
You can't do that at Tulsa. I mean, it doesn't show it's not success.
You got to
hire a whole lot Dave Raiders out there, so
and let them bounce on. Let them, that's what Tulsa has to do.
I think Marion would be a good fit for him. But like you said, it's not a TU podcast. But that said, I agree with everything you're saying. I think the holdup is the whole Tulane situation. I think Craddock's in play a lot more than we think, and I think he is waiting. I'm wondering if he has said, can we wait until the end of the season to until I can make a decision on that? That said, I don't know if OU can do that.
I think by the time we have this pod next week, we're going to have an OC. If we,
I do too.
I'm going to be very surprised if we don't have one. If not, you and I will be griping on this pod that we don't, and we screwed up not getting it done fast
enough. Which I will jump into. I thought this was funny. Our first comment on YouTube, well, not our first one because I had some person put on there. We did have that Sooner Magic on one of our YouTube, but the one that we did with Matt said, and I quote, "It actually is exactly the Mike Leach air raid offense. Perhaps you should watch the game instead of just looking at box scores."
All right, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so thank you for the comment. We love it. As we have told very many times, we are fans. We are not any kind of insiders.
A little bit of the Washington State New Mexico game, a little Pac-2 after dark, if you will. But I'm gonna lie and tell you, I took a lot of notes. Was it in shotgun? Yes. Were there some bubbles thrown? Yes. Was it as wide as what we run it with the Moore Brile system before? No. But if you're looking for a nuanced take of the differences there, wrong cat. Old basketball here. I can tell you a lot more basketball stuff than I can tell you on the football specific things with that. So that's as good as it's going to be, guys.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I read that and I'm like, Steve, you need to quit. You need to. Hey, he saw you looking at those stats. He ain't liking it. He ain't liking it one bit. Hey,
no.
And I'll tell you what, I'm fed up with it. I am fed up with it. But no, I think we're on the same page with Arbuckle. It wouldn't surprise me if he is announced maybe as early as Sunday. Who knows? To me, it's like that's probably a Monday morning announcement. But that said, I think the sooner the better. I mean, especially with recruiting. I know some of those recruits. The one reason that they might not have to rush is it doesn't seem like we have been hit as hard with guys. Not necessarily we had the Sperry decommitment, but that said, we'll jump right into recruiting too now. So since we're kind of transitioning to that, look at me, man. I am a transitioning fool right now. So
casting stool is really paying off, Jeremy. Dynamite.
Look at me transitioning.
To watch film. I didn't watch film, but I did do some research here for you on some recruiting. And speaking of this being a Tulsa Golden Hurricane pod, we talked we talked with Matt about the quarterback situation, about Ficklin and where the offer was with that. There's some stuff Sooner Scoop had on that where they had stopped communication. Communication was back, looking to set up a visit. That's still what I'm hearing on that. But I do know that Oklahoma has also had contact with a quarterback that was committed to, or is currently verbally committed to Tulsa, Eli Morcos, who is a Texas quarterback. He's verbal to Tulsa. He's someone that has said he's been in talks with Oklahoma since the Kevin Sperry decommitment. He's coming up for a visit next week after the game as well. Also, I did see that Caleb Burns, a linebacker who's currently verbally to Baylor, is one of Baylor's highest recruits, was a visitor last weekend for the Alabama game. Put a bunch of pictures out on Twitter in OU stuff, and I saw that on 3, he goes fonged. For those who know, what that means. His crystal ball was to Oklahoma. So there's some little bit of recruiting research for you guys. But once again, no, I have not watched enough Washington State tape. But that's kind of the recruiting stuff that I know. Jeremy, what have you heard your way?
Yeah, I mean, the Ficklin deal, I think to me, he's just waiting to get an offer. I think it's because it's OU. It's a little easier sell, and maybe some wounds will be healed. I mean, like we said the other day, it's tough to tell a kid we don't want you, and now wait a minute, we do want you. But I look at it this way: obviously, OU somewhere he wants to go, or he wouldn't even listen to it, you know. And so when you look at that situation, OU had to, which to me, I think they had this sense that Sperry was probably going to flip on him. But
Well,
that said, so it makes you wonder, like, are they looking at some? I mean, there are some good crop of high school quarterbacks in
yeah.
Oklahoma right now. So,
Well, I
I
mean,
mean,
don't you, Jeremy, this is a little bit like when Lincoln Riley was here, he would kind of like want the, like, every 2 years, big recruit thing is what he was trying to set up. And I do think it's smart to take somebody in every class, but we've got Jaden O'Neal, who's the next like big recruit that's coming in. And so whether we're looking at Morcos or Marcus or, the kid in Texas who's committed to Tulsa right now, or we're looking at Ficklin, who's committed to Texas State right now. I mean, no offense. You look at those guys' other offers, they're not Oklahoma offers. They're not, Texas offers. They're not Arkansas offers. They're not SEC offers. They're not even like Big 12 offers. They're non-power 4 offers. So I think we're looking at placeholders there. Like the kid that we signed this last year, who we took away from Northwestern. I think we're looking at to fill the quarterback room. I don't think we're looking at somebody who I really think will be the starter here in a couple of years. I really don't.
no, I don't either. I think
It's a lot more to talk about quarterbacks than it is linebackers and offensive linemen and that sort of thing. But I really think when we're looking at quarterbacks here, these weren't people that are ever going to be major players as far as OU football going forward anyway.
no,
Come in, I think that's a bigger deal.
yeah, and also too, I think every year you want to probably bring in a quarterback, and that's why I thought Ficklin would probably be perfect in that situation because, like, guy's an athlete. He can. I mean, you've got Hawkins already there. I really feel like Hawkins is going to stick around.
If Hawkins would leave, Ficklin's a very similar type person.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. And so, I mean, looking at, when you talk about recruiting, I think if you bring in Mateer and you have Hawkins here, I just think Jackson's probably gone. I mean, what do you think? I just feel like there's too much stuff that's happened, and I think they both need a fresh start. So
yeah, I do too.
It's you look at him and he's saying all the right things, he's doing all the right things, but in the end, it's.
I mean, Jeremy, remember back when we were all wondering if Caleb Williams was going to stay or go, and I remember going to an OU basketball game, and he was there afterwards. I'm like, man, Caleb's totally going to stay. He's doing the right thing, and all this, and then obviously he didn't stay. After that, and I think it's a similar thing with Jackson. I think Jackson likes his teammates. I think Jackson, likes the coaches, but I think it's in his best interest to move on. But speaking of big quarterback decommitments, LSU had an absolutely huge one with Bryce Underwood. So, let's kind of transition there to talk a little bit of LSU game. This is a team that hasn't really been playing great coming in. They did beat Vandy 24-17, but before that, they lost to Florida 16-27, lost to Bama 13-42, lost to A&M 23-38. One of my favorite things on Twitter that I see is the Brian Kelly Mad-O-meter, where he gets like different shades of red and purple. Now, as I've said for a long time since we started this pod, I will be there as part of the trip that I'm on. I will be there Saturday night, and I would love to report back, beat purple by the end of that game, and some choice words. I've got to cover Allie's ears about blank, Brian Kelly, and it won't just be fire. It won't be the only F word probably thrown at Brian Kelly Saturday. But Jeremy, tell me a little bit about your thoughts about that game going in. Then I'll give a few of mine.
Well, I don't think that we're not going to surprise him now with our game plan. I think you got to go the same game plan you had against Alabama. they struggle with the mobile quarterbacks. So I think it's going to be a lot of that. Big surprise tonight with the injury report. Andrew Anthony is questionable. I have not seen that name on there for a while. So I did like that they went ahead and just said out for Deion Burks and Farouk to make sure guys, or we didn't get our hopes up. But that said, man, and Brendan Thompson's, I think he's questionable too. Guy didn't have anybody throw to. So, like, we have to run that same kind of game plan that we just did. And Xavier Robinson's running the ball like he is. You got to stop us.
Barnes is probable. So, we could have having a backfield with Barnes, Sawchuk, and Robinson, so that
absolutely.
And Tatum too, if he could.
Yeah. Tatum might be too far in the doghouse right now. I mean, that dude, if he's got 9 lives, he's used about 10 of them this year because it seems like that guy will have a big run and then he'll cough it up. And, the fumble he had against Alabama, that ball was coming out before he even got hit in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fumble issue. So they're going to have to address that in the offseason. That's a guy to also keep an eye on, too, if DeMarco leaves. I don't know if Tatum will stick around, but
100%.
But that said, same game plan as what we had against Alabama. I don't think LSU's defense is as strong as what Alabama's was. And the way our offensive line played against Alabama, if they can do that against Alabama, they can do it against LSU. But, guys, the whole situation is you're playing in Death Valley at night. It is by far a night game in Death Valley is one of the toughest places to play. I put it right up there with Kyle Field. And I've gone to a game where we were the number 1 ranked team at Kyle Field and got our butts beat. And I got more stuff thrown at me and spit at me at that game. So I can tell you, I've heard LSU is pretty similar to that. And so it's going to be a tough place to play. We're going to have to play another perfect game. But we're playing with house money now. We're bowl eligible. I feel like we're going to hopefully play a little bit more loose because we know, we've got the monkey off our back. We played that game against Alabama, and now we're going to – now it's just fool's gold. Whatever happens. And, go into it, before the season started, I said 8-4. That's what my prediction was. So if we – in this season 7-5, I will be shocked. I'll just be mind blown. But for the way this season's gone, so
5-7. So if we could flip that to 7-5, that's a big leap. When we started this pod, now hashtag 1-0 under the pod. By the way, after the Missouri game, so BB he might have got some free Taco Bell. He can throw some free stuff our way.
Man, we should have started this before the Missouri game, man.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that, guys.
But I don't know, man. My key's the game, and I'll throw it over to you. Run heavy again. Keep the ball out of LSU's offensive hands. If we can keep the ball out of LSU's hands, then I think that's just a recipe for success. Same thing that we did against Alabama. Sustain these 6-7 minute drives. That's how you win football games. You keep your defense off the field. That is literally everything that I have requested all season. Just give me an offense that just sustains drives. You don't necessarily have to put points on the board. Just sustain drives, keep your defense off the field, and you watch how they fly around whenever they're fresh. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I had an old football coach who worked for me. One of my head football coaches told me, he's like, "Gosh, let me tell you why we run the flex bone, because only 3 things can happen when you pass, and 2 of them are negative." So I do think that there is some of that's going to go with our game plan. I do think we have to be run heavy. It is exciting to me to have the running back room that I do think we're going to have. And to me, what would be our 3 best running backs with Robinson and Barnes and Sawchuk healthy. I have, unlike Washington State, I have watched quite a bit of LSU this year. knew I was coming to this game, so I wanted to have a little bit of knowledge coming into this. This was pre-podcast thoughts, but have watched
Quit looking at the box scores. I know what you're doing. You're just looking at the dang box scores.
But I have watched probably 3 LSU games, pretty much kick to whistle, and quite a few other ones a little bit here and there. And the player that I'm going to kind of put a star on is Kyron Lacey. The games that LSU scores, makes big plays, it's Kyron Lacey. And something I think we did a great job last week is we said Eli Bowen, high school football wise, just like, high school football, you'll have that best corner just follows the receiver around, whether he's in the slot, he's out wide, he's wherever, he's just following him around. And I do think BB will do that, and Zach Alley will do that with Eli Bowen. Kyron Lacey's not as big as Ryan Williams, and Kyron Lacey's a really good player. He's an NFL player. But he's not as talented as Ryan Williams. And I do think that we can get some pressure on Nussmeier. It is a little bit concerning with, I'm sure you saw this, Caden Woolard is out this week. So we are a little bit thin at defensive end. It'd be a great game for PJ to kind of have a come out party. I think that would be exciting for that to happen. Because I really think last week our edges were great. I think when you can let R. Mason Thomas know it's passed, he is really, really tough. I think the speed of our edges really bothered Alabama's big tackles, and I think it can do the same with LSU this week again. The other player that I want to try to contain is Katie Durham. I do think is a good running back. Guy was almost a Sooner up at LSU. I do think he's a good running back. He's a guy who can bust a long one, but we've been really good against a run that doesn't concern me as much. I think Nussmeier is just a certified Jag. I think he's a guy. I think he's an okay quarterback. But I do think if we can take Lacey away from him, keep pressure on it, he doesn't have obviously the wheels or anything that like what Milroe had. I think we can do that. And I just think there's a lot of pressure on LSU. I know it's a night game and I know all that, but this is a team that fully expects to be in the national championship hunt. Brian Kelly, like BV, I think this is year 3 for him. And this is a team that's out of the playoff contention. And this is not where they were promised to be. So I do think if we were in their shoes, if they had kind of the savior coming in with Bryce Underwood leaving, and yeah, they did win against Vandy, but it was a low scoring game. I expect this to be a low scoring game too. Go ahead and give you my predicted score here right now before I throw it in there at the end like I did last week. But I think OU finds a way to score. I think 24 is our magic number. I'm going to keep that at 24, but I think this week we win by a touchdown. I think this week is 24-17. I think is where I'm going to go with that score.
Well, we've been friends for too long. I literally was about to ask you, like, so what's your prediction? And you already knew. You're like, you know what? I know what he's going to ask me that. So, because I didn't give you my prediction, so I'm kind of with you on the 24. That seems like a good number for us. I said before the season, I'm like, if we get to 30, I think with our defense, like, nobody can beat us. I don't think we get to 30. I think it wouldn't hurt to get some turnovers. It's being greedy, asking for touchdowns from your defense, but heck, might as well get another one, Give Billy Bowman a pick six. That'd be a good going away present. So I said 24-10 is what I'm predicting. I just, man, I feel like if we're keeping a defense off the field, those guys are just a different beast. And, we've asked, like, what do we have to build on for next year? Can you imagine Eli Bowen and Gentry Williams at corners next year? I mean, those are two lockdown NFL cornerbacks. I mean, That is something that you can put as many extravagant blitz packages as you want, and you put those guys on an island. So,
well, here's another good transition for you, Jeremy. You're talking about getting people on the field. Let's talk about keeping people off the court. Let's talk a little because
Yeah, so if you watched, we'll transition to
with
basketball.
44 seconds left. Up 9 with 44 seconds left. And then, we went 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, turnover, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, technical foul. That seems a little odd if I'm looking at the box score. Let's talk a little bit about what happened there, Jeremy. Go ahead. I'll turn that over to you.
I mean, two things. They didn't let the sub come in after the second free throw. If you played basketball, you wait until once the second free throw is made and you're subbing in, they stop the play and let you come in. Now, that said, they didn't. Now, if I'm Porter Moser, first off, why sub? Just let it play out. Unless they added a 4-point play in basketball and I don't know about it, just keep your hands up. And there were 3 seconds left. So that's one thing that I didn't understand. Like, why are we overthinking this? Why do you want to bring a sub in? Just let him go down there and fire one up. So we deserved to lose that game at the end. We couldn't hit a free throw to close it out. So that's a problem. I was telling Steve before we got on here, I said, Jalen Moore's got to be who we run our offense through. Fears is an unbelievable talent. The kid is supposed to be a high school senior. So he's going to make high school senior mistakes in college.
8 turnovers.
But that's it. His ability is unbelievable. Give me Kobe Elvis, the best name in basketball. That guy's got such a pretty shot. If you can get him going forward, especially when he gets to conference play, get him some wide open looks. That guy is deadly. But they've got some shooters. I am not going to jump to conclusions. I do it every year in non-conference. We are the best non-conference team there is. But when we get in conference,
I think it should be Arizona tomorrow. That game's going on as we're talking. I'm not sure what the score is, but I think it'll be Arizona tomorrow. But we're not going to win against Arizona with Jalen Moore scoring 6 points and Godwin scoring 2. We've got to get more. We've got to get more going there. Pun intended, more going,
Well, yeah. And also, too, man, what's it take to get a big man? I love Godwin, but the guy plays his butt off. But, I mean, cash, and more cash. But I would love to have a big guy like when we were at OU, Jabari Brown was the perfect complementary big guy with Hollis and Quantis. I mean, that guy just throw him lobs and he make it. But this team it's a typical Porter Moser team, but they are shooting more threes this year in years past, and that's what Porter Moser wants. And it makes me nervous when you got a team that lives and dies by the three, because it looks really, really good when you're hitting them, but man, it can go south on you when you have a bad shooting night.
You look at the losses that Thunder have had this year; it's been 3-point variance that did them in as well. But no,
I know. I was thinking about that today. I was like,
definitely a good
one. Called Sooner Cast. How are we going to not talk about the Thunder? But we'll try not to. But we might. Well, we might sneak a little bit of them in there just to be safe.
Squeeze a little bit, but guys, thanks for listening to us tonight. Hopefully, hopefully I'm still living next time that hopefully it's not about black and blue. I look road weary today, but hopefully I'm not beat up or anything as I go to Tiger Stadium. I'm going to go try to see Mike the Tiger and do all the LSU things while I'm down here in the deep South. But happy Thanksgiving to all of our followers.
Yes.
Hopefully, maybe you're listening to this trying to avoid being with your family. Go talk to your family or go talk to your in-laws, whoever you're with. Be nice, okay? Eat too much. That's what Thanksgiving's about. But you say you're going to go for a walk and you listen to this podcast when you go for a walk. Before don't watch the Cowboys. That's not worth the crap. Don't do that.
No,
we're
please don't.
recovering Cowboys fans. Jeremy and I are. I think we're probably both more Buccaneers fans at this point because of Baker. But don't watch the Cowboys. Don't do that to yourselves.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We seem to be getting good traction there. Comment, like, do all the good things. Hit that share button. You know, do all the things you're supposed to help us out. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, it doesn't cost you a dime, but it helps us. So I appreciate everybody listening to it. We figured we'd put this out before Thanksgiving, so when you're cooking, you have something to listen to, and our knowledge can get you through the Thanksgiving with your family.
Okay.
So
Last thing here, Jeremy.
all right.
Thanksgiving
Okay.
side.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time,
No,
Boomer
you didn't answer my
Sooner.
question. What's your favorite Thanksgiving side? What do you
Oh,
got?
shoot. I'm sorry. My favorite is my mom's dressing, even
Okay.
though my it's so funny. I grew up on this dressing that my family doesn't like, and my mom's like, I guess I shouldn't bring it over. I'm like, just give me just a little dab of it. But the crazy thing is, and I'll tell you this, and I'll let you tell me, I never ate green bean casserole growing up, and now I have to have it. Like my mom said, she's gonna bring over green beans. I said, well, I'm gonna make green bean casserole. So she's like, you like that? I don't know why.
Green bean casserole growing up either, and that's like something that Aaron makes, and it is good. But that wasn't something that I had growing up either.
Yeah.
I'm kind of weird. It's probably like baked beans for me, but since we're on the road, we are in. If they want to throw a sponsor out here, we're actually going Cracker Barrel. We're doing the heat and serve from Cracker Barrel tomorrow, so I'll give everybody a review on that. We'll see how that goes. But I'm a pumpkin pie man. That's looking forward to that. But yeah, thanks guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you guys. Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.